Jimmy Garcia pen today, Bowden, another pen tomorrow. Let's see, Schultz threw one in Toronto as well, bullpen. Barsh increases base running activity quite a bit, felt good. Hopefully get him into games either over the weekend or Monday. Noah is going to start his rehab assignment at the FCL on Monday. And Burr, obviously, still kind of working the MRI. He's on the IL. Tommy Nance is here. Just trying to gauge out a plan with the shoulder. And who else? Sandlin, just some inflammation in the elbow. He'll be down from throwing for about a week and then ramp back up. And who am I missing? Hemi's still in Toronto, kind of week to week type deal, just doing treatment right now. And I believe that is it.
Jimmy Garcia, he threw bullpen in Toronto?
In Toronto, yeah.
Noah, what kind of volume are you looking for on Monday?
We'll see. Well, there's, probably two ups, I would say, definitely. But depending on his pitch count and things like that. First one, just kind of want to see him get out there, get hot, go through his normal routine, pitch, have no care whatsoever about results when he's starting. But I think the plan is, two ups and kind of go from there.
How many outings do you kind of expect him to throw on rehab?
We'll see. It's gonna be kind of outing by outing. Definitely a normal spring training build up at the very least. Thinking 5 or 6 outings. So if he needs more, he needs more. I think we're gonna kind of gauge it after each one, see how it's going.
But it seems like with the 30-day rehab, it's realistic that kind of mid-August, late August.
I think so. Yeah, I mean, it just depends on how he feels and how he's pitching. It's nice to kind of see him progress, and it's nice to see what his stuff looks like. And whenever you're coming off a surgery like this, you gotta, I think, be pretty confident that he's good to go when you do start the clock, the 30-day clock, and then if you have to adjust, you adjust.
With Burr going straight to the 60-day, is he going to have further consultations with any doctors or anything like that?
Yeah, we're going to pass the MRI to a couple, I think, probably Meister and Eltrash, and kind of make a plan going from there. But there's, I don't know if it's shut down. I don't know if it's surgery. But there was some stuff around the shoulder.
Seeing that the series is starting in Sacramento, you've got Nathan Lukes, who is a Sacramento product here. How anticipatory have you been looking forward to this series coming back and playing at home?
I'm sure it's cool for him, when you're looking at a big league schedule, you're not, thinking about, being in your hometown, but worked out that way. So I'm sure it'll be pretty cool for him. And he's been so good for us too, so consistent for us. Hopefully he can keep it going in front of the hometown fans.
What have you kind of learned about how this ballpark plays? What do you expect?
It's tough, I mean, we've definitely heard the ball travels. Definitely certain weather probably affects that too, but we'll see. We're well versed in it. Us playing in Dunedin and Buffalo for a couple of years, and getting the series in down in Steinbrenner. We'll kind of have to see. I think that you talk to other teams that have been here, they give you a little bit of feedback, and you got to kind of experience it for yourself.
Glad to see with the outfielders today, kind of going over everything.
Yeah, in terms of the dimensions, all that kind of stuff. You saw the home run Butler hit first pitch of the game against Atlanta. It's similar to Fenway. It's similar to what's the other one? Houston a little bit, where you have to, even Arizona, you have to really kind of have each other's backs. You're not quite sure off that right center field, fence where it's going to go. So definitely talked about it in the meeting. Showed some examples, and you gotta ready for it.
Even just the offensive results here in general, it's playing like close to Coors levels.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel as a manager coming in?
Good and bad, right? Because both teams are playing here. So this team, they can hit some homers. Their top of the lineup is legit, and they're looking to do damage. So you have to limit mistakes, and there's going to be times where you have to pitch soft contact. I think all of our guys are aware of that. I was talking earlier to some guy. I don't want our guys offensively to change an approach. You know what I mean? I think it's easy when you get into a course field of guys that played there before. The ball's going to travel. I think the ball's going to go if you get it. You know what I mean? So I don't want these guys to do anything different. I want them to be who they are. Home runs are going to come for both sides. But it's definitely unique when you're looking at ballparks.
You guys are pros, obviously, and you'll do your best in any situation, I'm sure. Is it a little different, like from a prep standpoint, to be in the clubhouse that's in the outfield, to maybe not have some of the resources that you guys might normally have? With all due respect to Sacramento.
Sure. No, they did a good job in there, really. I think from a workstation standpoint and clubhouse, food, all that kind of stuff. You don't really realize where you are till you walk outside. I think just the biggest difference is, you usually have a little bit more down towards the dugout, whether it's cage or place to get ready. So, they're aware of it. Again, we've talked to other teams, but I think they did a great job with, getting this place ready for Major League Baseball.
What kind of stuff do you guys do to weather the climate here and keep yourselves cool as you can?
You gotta take care of yourself, man. It starts the night before, really. So it's if you drink a ton of water. I'm sure guys will go through a couple jerseys, batting gloves. Batting gloves was the one we ran into in Tampa when it was real hot, where something you don't think about. You sweat right through your batting gloves, so you got to have an extra couple pairs down here. And try to stay in the shade. We're wearing shorts for BP to try to combat it a little bit. But yeah, just try to tailor your work accordingly. And remember, it's hot for both teams.
On the first show, if he's getting into games potentially by Monday, then does that open the door to him rejoining you guys in Toronto to start the second half?
We'll see how many games he gets in based on the schedule. I think it could be. Again, you want to make sure that he's good. You want to make sure that there's very few restrictions when he comes back. So he's going to need a handful of games. So we'll kind of just see how he does, see how he feels, and see where we can get him playing. But he'll be a busy guy over the break for sure.
Can you see where he's going to start?
I believe he'll start with the Florida State League when he gets there. No, excuse me, FCL, because Monday Florida State is not.
Just on Max, he had an extra day this time. As far as your understanding of things, how did his ramp up start?
I think this was a pretty good in between for him. Coming off a 2 on regular rest, extra day definitely helped. He was more, what's the right word? Probably a little bit more energetic after his last start the next day on how he felt compared to the one before. And an extra day always helps. So all the reports, the side was good in Chicago. He's ready to go. You got to just kind of manage it. I think we'll say that every time with how the game goes, in between innings and things like that. But probably one of his best turns in between that he's had.
You talked a little bit about it. What do you think makes this lineup, and it's not the same thing as this last year, but harder to pitch against?
I think that's the best way to put this. I think that you're getting the expected production out of guys you expected from, right? And then there's been guys really embracing their role and who they are. There's been some, I don't want to say surprises, but some pleasant contributions from Nate, from Eddie, Heine, Miles. It seems like they're all kind of doing their part. But I think when you have a combination of guys that can put the ball in play fairly consistently and not strike out, that's one thing. And then I think you have guys that can hit the ball over the fence is another thing. And for the most part, I think 1 through 13, we do a very good job of controlling the zone. And when you're swinging at good pitches and, doing what we're asking you, whether it's put the ball in play or hit it hard, guys are doing a really good job of that. So hopefully we can keep it going.
You just mentioned him as one of those guys, but what does Addison Barker's kind of putting it together? How does that deepen his
Yeah, he's been huge, you know what I mean? It's a left-handed power bat that can really impact the game. He's had some big hits for us, big hits late for us. It's just a different profile than what we've had here in the last couple of years. Left-handed guy. You can put him really anywhere in the order. I think, sticking him behind Bo, or even we had him in front of Vlad for a little bit. I think it's just nice to break up the right-handers at times. And, I'm trying to think of the last real true power left-handed guy. We've had Marsh falls into that category for sure. But I think Addy is, the definition of a young, dynamic hitter that can help him in a lot of ways.
How did that happen when Santander's on the IL? Like how quick?
Yeah. Let's talk about, unfortunate timing for Tony and really good timing for us and Addy. It's that's kind of what we had hoped for, that offensive profile when you bring Tony in, and to have Addy come in and kind of take advantage of the opportunity when he did. it kind of flies on the radar a little bit. You know what I mean? When you think about our team, you think about what George is doing. You think about Kirky being an all-star. Everyone kind of goes to Bo Vlad, George a little bit. He's been right in the middle of it, and it's been a real boost to our offense.
Cool. Thank you.